August 15th, 1947, but a story filled with sorrow, suffering, and division. Today, we will explore a story that was not just a political decision, but also an emotional tragedy. It all started on August 16, 1946, when Muhammad Ali Jinnah announced Direct Action Day. Jinnah declared that if he did not get Pakistan, he would not remain silent under any circumstances. Officially, this protest was meant to be peaceful, but in reality, it turned into a horrific massacre. The events that followed became known as the Great Calcutta Killings. Thousands of people were killed, and Hindus and Muslims turned against each other. These riots did not last for just one day, but continued for almost a year, with daily reports of 200 to 300 deaths. Initially, Congress believed this was just a temporary crisis, but soon, things spiraled out of control. Riots spread across the country, and even the British government realized that the situation was beyond repair. This led to British Prime Minister Clement Attlee announcing on February 20th, 1947, that regardless of whether Indian leaders reached a decision or not, the British would transfer power and leave India by June 30th, 1948. The Balkan Plan, a dangerous proposal. At this point, Britain introduced the Balkan Plan, which proposed breaking India into several independent states. This idea alarmed both Nehru and Jinnah. Nehru argued that they did not even want to divide India into two nations, let alone into multiple fragments. Even Jinnah, who demanded a separate Pakistan, wanted a united Pakistan rather than a scattered one. Had the British left India without a concrete decision, the chaos that would have followed is unimaginable. This forced Nehru and Jinnah to find common ground. Congress agrees to partition. As riots intensified, Congress gradually began to accept the idea of partition. Congress President J.B. Kripalani stated that if the alternative was a civil war, then it was better to grant Pakistan its independence. On March 19, 1947, Nehru also admitted that partition was the only practical solution. The British were eager to speed up the process. Consequently, Lord Wavell was removed as Viceroy of India and replaced by Lord Mountbatten. His primary task was to finalize the partition swiftly. However, a new problem arose: Punjab and Bengal. The Sikhs and Hindus living in these regions feared for their safety if these provinces were handed over to Pakistan. Jinnah claimed that Hindus and Sikhs could live peacefully in Pakistan as minorities, but many pointed out the hypocrisy in his statement. If Hindus and Muslims could not coexist in a united India, how could Hindus and Sikhs be safe in Pakistan? On June 3, 1947, the Mountbatten Plan was announced. It proposed that India and Pakistan would become two separate nations but would remain under British rule until they drafted their own constitutions. India became fully independent with the adoption of its constitution in 1950, while Pakistan followed suit in 1956. Punjab and Bengal were divided based on a vote. Hindus and Sikhs in these regions chose to stay with India, while Muslim-majority areas became part of Pakistan. Everything had to be divided, including the military, railways, financial assets. Originally, June 30th, 1948 was set as the deadline for the transfer of power, but Mountbatten advanced it to August 15, 1947. Coincidentally, the same date Japan surrendered in World War II, when Mountbatten was the supreme commander of South Asia. A hasty decision. After partition, one crucial task remained: drawing the borders. This responsibility was given to a committee led by Cyril Radcliffe. The problem? Radcliffe had never been to India and knew nothing about its geography. He relied solely on maps and population data to draw the boundary lines. On August 14, 1947, Pakistan declared its independence, followed by India on August 15th.
The national flag, saffron, white and green tricolour, was publicly unfurled. For the rest, proud, 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 all rejoicing over the birth of the Dominion of India.
However, the official border was only announced on August 17th. This meant that for 2 days, millions of people had no idea which country they belonged to. When the borders were finally revealed, a new nightmare began. Millions of people were forced to leave their homes and migrate across the newly drawn lines. Punjab and Bengal witnessed the worst violence, with communal tensions at their peak. Trains filled with corpses were sent across the borders. People had hoped that partition would bring peace, but in reality, it only brought hatred, death, and destruction. The aftermath of partition, Jinnah, who fought relentlessly for partition, died of tuberculosis within a year. Finally, on January 26, 1950, India became fully independent with the implementation of its constitution. While Pakistan gained complete independence on March 23, 1956, even today the partition remains a painful chapter in the history of both India and Pakistan. Millions of people were forced to abandon their ancestral lands and families were permanently separated. The partition was just a line drawn on paper, but it shattered millions of lives.